So do you have questions? If you are doing this for the first time and your mind is going, this is really strange, I totally agree with you. This is really something that you have to get used to. And yeah, as I said, you know, you need some faith, you need some trust, you need some level of concentration that while you are reciting the mantra that you do the visualizations, because that is very important, that you especially here at the end, that you have the light absorbing into you. But then again, you know, I don't know, if you're not a Buddhist, do you want the Buddha have light sending into you? If you are a very devout Jewish practitioner, I wouldn't do that, because you'll get confused in a way, you know. What is God going to, if you look at the Ten Commandments, then yeah, so you need to deal with this. I don't know. So for me it was very simple. I didn't have any belief in any God, you know, because I was not given that belief by my parents. My parents are atheists and they thought church is for nothing. So this is why I was never given the choice whether I wanted to be a believer or a non-believer. So I came to Buddhism as a pretty neutral person. And at the beginning I had problems with this. You know, I liked the philosophy, but all this religious stuff, because what my parents told me was still very present. Yeah, so all this religious stuff, and I actually had aversion towards it. But because I'm a nun, I have to go to the pujas. There's no way I can say I'm not coming to the puja. All of a sudden I started to see that this works. Yeah? And also at one point, I still remember I was sitting in a puja, and I was just going like, just do it. I mean, what can happen? Just do it. It's like, what are you fighting and not wanting to do it, you know? Even if it's just a waste of time, it's just a waste of time. You waste much more time with other more stupid things than sitting here and reciting these things. And then something opened, and the moment you're open for these things, you can see that it works. Yeah, so again, it depends on us. Some people in Switzerland, they don't dare to see themselves as Tara and send out light and purifying everybody else. And so rightly so, they say, but the Buddha is not omnipotent, so why I now as Tara am sending out light and everybody becomes immediately Tara and are purified. But as Tara, you know, they also have to do their part. Then the light will work. Yeah, so it's okay. But you know, Swiss people are very humble, so they say, oh, for them it's almost a heresy when they see themselves as a Buddha. So, but as a Buddhist, you want to become a Buddha. You want to have the qualities and the compassion, the wisdom, and the whatever the skillful means as a Buddha. Okay? So, you have questions?
When I visualize, I have a question about this, the visualization.
Okay.
When I visualize her on the crown,
Mm-hmm.
she's facing.
Yeah.
That way.
She's facing the same way as you do. It's difficult. I know it's difficult. It's much easier to, when you do visualization, to have it here. So, but then the light comes, but this one sits in front of you. No, it sits above you, yeah. So it's easier to have her here. So here you have the light is actually...
Right, like you're looking from...
The light is, this is why it says the light curves.
Right.
Yeah, it curves into you like this. And like, there used to be on YouTube, there used to be a kind of a video where you see it. I tried to find it this morning. Maybe you go back, you look, Shuki. I tried to find it this morning. All I found was wonderful Tara melodies, but I couldn't find that video where it really shows the light rays, you know, going like this, and then the energy, like an energy ball, whizzing everywhere when you send out the light, going through marketplaces, and everybody becomes Tara. And it used to be on YouTube, yeah, and with this very nice tune also that is in Gachin Rinpoche's biography. There's a movie by Christina Lindberg. Don't know if you saw it, and then I think there also is the Tara melody, and this is the same melody there. There's numerous melodies of mantras. You can learn them if you want. I won't, because it's it can become attachment. Also, if you want to sing really nice. But if you're in a bad state, I would say, and you click on the YouTube of this, with flute and this and that, and then it opens your channels and your heart, blah, blah, blah. You can do that in order to feel better. But use it as a medicine and not just, and then You know, do what you need to do. So yeah, so the light is kind of arching like this. If it's difficult to see Tara here, what I did when I did the Vajrasattva retreat, because also Vajrasattva is at your crown, so I visualized sitting in front of a mirror. That was helpful. Seeing myself and seeing Vajrasattva on the crown until I had him there. Yeah, so that can be helpful. But visualization is difficult. I mean, visualization, because you're not used to these forms, is difficult. So we do the same exercise as yesterday. Close your eyes and visualize the shop where you're buying your vegetables, like regularly, every day. Close your eyes. Can you see it? Did it need effort for you to see it? Can you see it clearly? Why? Because you go there almost every day or every few days. So that is visualization, something that your mind remembers. And then the image comes up. Yeah? So at the beginning, when you're not used to it, you have to go step by step. You know, this is, you know, this is her foot, like the right is out, the left is in, then this is how she's holding her hands, and then this is her crown. So you go step by step. And in order to do that, what you can do also is, you know, you can spend an hour on the visualization. It's absolutely not a problem. To go step by step, that they call that vipassana, to really remember, to see clearly how she looks, or they call it clear appearance. And then, because you can't hold the whole thing clearly, and then you focus, you do shamatha on maybe here, maybe just, you know, the corner of her eye, or one jewel in her crown, or one fingernail, or something like that. And then that becomes your object of shamatha. Yeah? So then you practice vipassana and shamatha at the same time. Yeah? And always, as you do these visualizations, yes, it appears, but empty of inherent existence, because that's what it's for us to understand that things do not exist from their own side. Yeah? So Tara is used by the Tibetans, is used as the swift liberator, because she's got one foot down already. Everybody else, all the Buddhas, have the foot up. She symbolizes a lot of things, like she symbolizes green, which is the color of the element wind, meaning very quick, very swift, very agile, very, you know, moving very swiftly. She symbolizes, of course, female energy. She symbolizes the activity of an enlightened mind. Like you have Chenresik, which is white in color. Is that no, that's a Vajrasattva, isn't it? Okay, I don't have, it doesn't matter. You have a Chenresik, which is white in color, symbolizes enlightened mind's compassion. Then you have Manjushri, who is orange in color, symbolizes an enlightened mind's wisdom. And you have Vajrapani, who is a bit wrathful, is blue, symbolizes Buddha's power. Okay, so all these things, even though you don't know what it means, it speaks to you, but on a more subtle level than concepts. This is why you don't need to take everything apart in Tantra, because then in order for your mind to become more subtle and go into these subtle energies, yeah, you take it up into our gross mind and then nothing works, because that's not where it belongs. As you go along, you will learn this feature and that feature and that and here and here and here, and then it's okay. But at the beginning, you know, just do it. Just do it and see what happens. Yeah. It's the same way, like learning how to drive a car. I mean, at the beginning you don't know how to drive a car, but the only way you learn is by doing it. You can read all the books, you can watch all the tutor videos they give you how to drive a car. You will still not know how to drive a car. Yeah. But this, for our intellectual mind, is very, very difficult to let go. Just sit down and do it. It's so difficult. Yeah. So Tara is the one who liberates from all fears, also it is said, from the 8 fears. And there's some very beautiful verses to that. Maybe I read them to you in the afternoon. because you won't be here in the afternoon, but I can send them to Sigal, and then she can send it to the people. It's by the first Dalai Lama. Like they talk about 8 outer fears, which are connected to our delusions. Yeah. So there's, for example, the lion of pride or arrogance. Then there's the flood of attachment. There's the fire of anger. Then there is the snake of jealousy. That one is really a wonderful picture, you know. And then he makes verses to that. I'll give it to you in the afternoon only. Then there is the thieves of the wrong views, you know, really existing, that kind of robs your crop of your practice because you think, I really there, and da-da-da-da. And then there is the ghost or the spirits of doubts. You know, the doubt about these practices. You're sitting there quite happily, mantra, visualization, everything goes well. And all of a sudden, it's like, what on earth am I doing here? Yeah, comes in from behind because you're such a rational Swiss person here who doesn't believe, I'm not superstitious, you know. What are you doing? Yeah. And also in your spiritual practice, you have moments of doubts where like you doubt everything. Your master, your practice, your ability, the Buddha, the group, and all this. And at the beginning, I used to be afraid of these moments. Now I think it's very helpful. Because every time it comes in, I have to examine, really, why am I doing this? And every time I come to the conclusion, I have no choice. And that's enough to continue. I have no choice. If this very strong gut feeling of wanting to be happy and wanting to be good and wanting to be pure and free, that gut feeling is there. And the more you go into it, the more you can feel it. And the more I can see I don't have it, but I want it. And if this is not my nature, why would I have this gut feeling? Why would I have it if it's not my nature? And I have no choice but I have no other method, so I have no choice but to continue. And then the doubt breaks. Or, you know, you can't just wait with doubt for the doubt to clear up. You have to work with it. Or you work with doubt, what will happen if I stop the practice? What will happen if I continue to practice? What's the harm if I stop? What's the harm if I continue? What's the benefit if I stop? What's the benefit if I continue? So you know, this is how our rational mind works. And then you're able to make a decision. Yeah.
Have you ever stopped?
No. One point I was very close to stopping because we had conflict in Tushita, and it was stirred up by nuns. And they wanted me to side up with them. And I said no, because I have absolutely no interest in that conflict. And also because these 2 nuns, they never helped. So I was the only one helping the director and the SPC. And they wanted to throw them out. So I said, look, I mean, if you throw them out, and then who is doing the work is me alone. So no, thank you very much. It was also like for selfish reason. I didn't want to kind of participate in this. And I couldn't be bothered. So they treated me in a really, really, like they almost spit on me that I didn't side up with them. And then I had this thing, I said, pah, I don't want to belong to this group of people anymore who kind of hide behind the bodhicitta motivation. I'm going back to the normal world where people, at least when they're angry, they know that they're angry and they're not kind of, you know, hiding it behind that thing. So of course I was already a nun, so you're not making that decision alone. So first I kind of was sitting 2 days on my anger in my room. I didn't come out, I was so angry. It was a very tiny room. And then all of a sudden I thought, I'm doing the same thing as they do. I'm angry at them that they are not the way I want them to be, good nuns. And they are angry at the director and the SPC that they are not doing what they think they should do. So I thought, I'm the same. But I still wanted to leave and kind of throw away the whole thing because I didn't want to belong to that group. Although there was only 2, you know, there's 2 unruly nuns, and there's all these other nuns who are doing what they do, but I made such a big fuss about these 2 unruly nuns. And so I went to see my master, my teacher, and he says, yeah, okay, if you want to give up your vows, fine, but just think about the benefit of keeping the vow. And then I thought, I don't have to become like them. Because I said, I don't want to, because they were not, you know, I was 2-year nun, they were 17 or 20 years nun. I thought, I don't want to become like them. But then from my own side, I thought, I don't have to become like them. And then I stayed and I continued. So no, I never stopped. I must have had like imprints that were really like popcorn, you know, just because I did one Kopan course, 10 days. I thought this has some value. I'm trying to be a Buddhist. I'm trying to not take the vows, but I'm trying to keep them. And I think what attracted me is the methods, that this is feasible. You know, it's not just blind faith. Do this, like really structured kind of method. I think that's what attracted me. Then I signed up for a 1-month course. In the 1-month course, I became aware of that, oh, I have a lot of negative imprints, so I had time, I had money, I stayed in the East. I signed up for a 3-month retreat, which was then in June. In the meantime, from November to June, I went to a Kala Chakra initiation in Sarnath, which I didn't understand a thing, but I liked it somehow. I thought like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't understand anything what was going on. It's a very high initiation. But there were thousands of people there, so, but it was cool. Then I did a Vipassana retreat with Christopher Titmus for 20 days, and I think I'm more in that. You know, I tried out both traditions, and I felt more comfortable in the Mahayana tradition, which doesn't mean to be for everybody like this, yeah? Then I went to Land of Medicine Buddha to volunteer, because I thought, if I leave it now, it's not strong enough, I think. If I go back to Trek and Beach, as I was doing 3 years before I did the Buddhist course, I think, so I went to volunteer in a Buddhist center, which was very difficult because also there was a lot of conflict, because there was a lot of work to do because the center wasn't opened yet, and it was a place which was totally neglected, and nobody was, we were all volunteers, nobody knew how to paint and spackle and this and repair and all this, so everybody did their best, and we did so much work for nothing. It was so frustrating, but still, because we did morning practice together every morning, that it didn't matter so much, you know, that we were kind of angry at each other and getting frustrated and all this. And then I went to do the Vajrasattva retreat. After the Vajrasattva retreat, I did another 1-month Kopan course, and at the end of that course I became a nun, and then that was it. So it was very fast. It was 1.5 years basically, from total non-Buddhist layperson to a nun. Means that, as I'm saying, the imprints were really right to pop. Also the outside conditions were perfect. I had already given up everything in Switzerland. Before I did this course, been traveling around in Asia and in the South Pacific mainly for 3.5 years, you know, without doing anything. I still had enough money. I didn't have to kind of dissolve a household because that was already dissolved. My parents were still okay. I didn't have to look after them. I mean, I was still young enough for them to, I said, if you need me, I come. But for the moment, I stay in the East. And then I was able, with the money I had, because as a Buddhist nun, as a Western Buddhist nun, you have to sustain yourself. The same way as the young people who go for studies, they have to sustain themselves. So if you do have the opportunity to support somebody financially, that would be a really good thing. Now, I was 40 at that time. I've had a business before which I sold, so I had enough money. I didn't have to worry, because financial problems is not oneness with spiritual practice. You're thinking, oh, I'm a spiritual practitioner, I have to be poor. You know, if that is on top of your because spiritual practice and studies is not easy. So if you, on top of that, you have to be afraid of not being able to pay the fees or not being able to pay for your food and board, is like, it makes it even more difficult. Okay, you can say then it's more merit. I'm not sure. You know, it really makes it difficult. So if there is an opportunity to support somebody who studies, so that they can continue with their study, because then, you know, I was 40 when I started. It's old, because your mind already has tendencies and habits and all this, so it's difficult to transform. And I didn't do all these studies because I would not have been capable at my age. You know, it goes in here and it comes out there. It's like, so also it was not available in English at that time, and I didn't have the willpower and the energy to study Tibetan, and the intelligence. I didn't have it, so what to do? You know, some people are very intelligent and some people aren't. So what? For some people it's very easy to learn all these things and retain them, and for other people it's not. So intelligence, it doesn't make you a good person naturally, you know. I mean, it's okay if you're intelligent, but there's no reason to freak out about it and think you're so fantastic. You know, many intelligent people use their intelligence in order to exploit others. I mean, it's, you know. So yeah, if you're intelligent, then be very happy. That's okay. But if not, so anyway, so I wouldn't have had the capacity to do like a, you know, master program, because Sangye Kadro, then she went for the master program. She was about my age and when the first master program in Italy, where Oris in Italy started, then she said, okay, I'm going to do it. I said, no way. I already, when I was young, I didn't like school. I'm not going to do 7 years of studies. Thank you very much. Do I regret it? Yeah, maybe, but it's only maybe. I don't really regret it. It's okay, you know. So that's what I mean. So yeah. But if somebody is young enough and has financial means and can sustain themselves to go and do these studies, because also then these people will become wonderful teachers, having the basic studies, which I don't have. Yeah.
You never learned the basic program?
No.
Yeah, so...
Huh? What?
So you know everything, just...
By learning alone, by books and, you know, teachings and, yeah, so I lived in Dharamsala for 17 years. So you see the teachings that we got from these lamas, they didn't call it basic program, but I know where to fit them in the basic program. Like for a basic program, for example, Bodhicharyavatara. It's not you only study it when you do the basic program. It's a text that is being taught again and again and again and again, and it's anyway my favorite text. So this is something I, you know, in Switzerland we have a Bodhicharya. I use it for myself. This is it. I use these teachings, what I'm trying to do, I try to use them for myself, yeah? And then so, but yeah, I do know tenets and Dura and Lorik and Tariq and all this. Josh then, you know, he took pity on us. Josh, when he's an English monk, he taught us, because he was studying at the dialectic school, so he taught us these things, more or less, but to teach it, well, I would not be capable. Definitely not. But it's good if somebody is able to do it. So like that. Huh? So then this afternoon we will try to do 2 more sessions. It's 1 o'clock now almost, so we have lunch break until 2. And then I will read out these, maybe we'll do the visualization of the purification with these 8 verses, which is very nice. And then the Tara, the mantra again, to send out the light. It's very important also, you know, you purify yourself, you fill yourself with light, you send it out, but because we don't believe that we can do it, we can't do it. And so this is why then we need all the blessings of the Tara at the end. Again, psychologically, I mean, these sadhanas, they are so clever. If you can put like your aversion towards religion aside, and you know this is superstitious and Tara, does she exist? Not. If you can put it aside and see how they're built up, and each one is a little bit different, yeah, like it's different from what we did yesterday, a bit different from what we did at the beginning of my visit also, because there we had 5 lights, so it's a little bit different. So then you start to see how this works on our mind, but not when you do this the first time. And yeah, it's just a matter of sitting down and doing it, basically. Okay? I mean, we have 5 more minutes. If you have a question, then ask. I mean, if not...
What's the size of
They say the smaller the better, but you see, it's very important that you feel comfortable with these things. So if you make it like... How did you show? Yeah, if you make it like this, it's fine. If you want to make it smaller, it's fine. If you make it bigger, then, you know. When I did my Vajrasattva retreat, it was really amazing to see how people's minds work. Because you have also then, when here it says the wisdom beings, you know, and the energy comes in. So we had somebody on the 3 months retreat who was an engineer. And he made drawings for us so that we could visualize. And I couldn't believe it. What he had done, so that when the wisdom beings come in, almost if he cut off the head of, in his drawing, he cut off, you know these beer glasses the Germans have, where you go like this and then it opens?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. A humpen is called, like, you know, like there's a cover, but it has a device, you go like this, the cover opens. So he had in his drawing, he had cut off the head or the skull of Vajrasattva, so it would open, so that the wisdom beings went in. So there you can see how the mind works to make it really, really solid. Yeah, that Vajrasattva needs to open his skull so that the wisdom beings can go in. Yeah, so that's why it's always mentioned. It's a being of light. Same as, you know, our body. If you talk to a nuclear scientist, it's mainly space. Ringo Tulku, he said, and he's not just me. I'm just repeating what scientists say, but he is really working with scientists. So he said, when scientists say, if you take all the atoms of all beings without any space between, they fit into one bottle. If you only have the atoms without the space in between. That's how much space we are. Yeah. So we, you know, also what you can do is, like, if you think of atoms and neurons and quarks and I don't know what, you know, whizzing around you. If you increase the energy, you know, the way if it goes quicker, then you become a being of light. And we do have energies. We all know that, isn't it? And vibes or energy or whatever, auras, whatever you would call that. Yeah. Also, I was in Mexico, and Mexican people are very open to miracles. That's why miracles happen, because they're open to them. In Switzerland, we have no miracles. Why? Because nobody believes in it. Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is really it. I tell you, in Mexico, I had so many nice encounters. I was sitting on the bus, somebody sitting behind me, and but he must have known what I am, because he said, "Anila, Anila." I said, "What?" He said, "I see your aura." I said, "Oh, okay." And then at one point, one security guard, he came towards me and he says, "Hey, Hare Krishna." I said, "I'm not Hare Krishna." "No, wait, I'm not Hare Krishna, I'm a Buddhist." He said, "But I am Hare Krishna." So then, and he said, "We have a place, if you want, you can come and eat, come and eat." So we went to eat there. Mexico. And on the other hand, so much violence, so much murder, so many, you know, the greed for money and drugs and all this. When I was there, I couldn't feel anything. I was walking alone in the street, people saying, "You're crazy, it's so dangerous." I said, "I don't feel." While I was there, the Dalai Lama was there also. And the people, they would cheer him like a football star. You know, they were like, he was walking from the hotel to the theater where the talks were. And he's standing there with flowers and throwing the flowers at them. And, "Dalai Lama, we love you." And it's like, it was quite something. Yeah, Mexico. And I never, you know, Israel also, Mexico and Israel, I met like so many family members also, you know, like in Switzerland I hardly know the other family members who don't come to the Buddhist classes. Mexico and Israel, yes, you know, Mexico's are grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, cousins, eating together all the time. A lot of meat. It's a very difficult country for a vegetarian, by the way. Maybe it's also changing, but when I was there years ago, it was like, still is, yeah. With these goat heads, the roasted goat head they sell in the streets, it's like sheep heads and stuff. But anyway, it's like, yeah, whether you eat this part of a being or the whole head, it's a being. So it's just that if you eat only the fillet, you don't see the head. Okay, lunchtime. So please enjoy your lunch. Again, be aware that it's thanks to Mother Earth that we have this lunch that we're going to eat. Thanks to many, many, many beings who brought this about. So while you eat it, think about how many beings are together in this lunch. And then please enjoy it, but because if you don't enjoy it, I mean, what's the point of these people doing all the effort for you to have food and then you don't enjoy it? Yeah, so don't feel guilty that these people work for you. Enjoy your lunch and please say thank you. And then if you want, if you're Buddhist, of course you offer it to all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. So, Bete Avon. And I meet you again at 2 o'clock.